At its best, South Park is a powerhouse, an equal opportunity offender that massacres holy cows and holds a mirror up to the hypocrisy on all sides of public debate. It has a unique ability to wade into the most divisive, controversial issues of the time and completely deconstruct arguments with clever irony and funny, touching storylines.
Chef, what would a priest want to stick up my butt?
Goodbye.
Throughout its 20-year history, South Park has tackled some of the biggest ideological clashes in the global media narrative. Did we learn something along the way, apart from all the cuss words? Well, let's see. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and these are 10 classic South Park cultural battles that are still hilariously relevant today.
No, I am not no gay fish.
Number 10. The evil Lord Xenu versus the Thetans. Scientology. Scientology took off a long time before South Park's Emmy-nominated Trapped in a Closet episode released in 2005. Wow, I actually feel old saying how long ago that episode aired. But it was around that time that Tom Cruise's affiliation with the religion became increasingly publicized.
Scientology is more of an alternative to psychology than a religion.
Then how come that sign says Church of Scientology?
Oh, that's just his thing. What's the Denver Broncos record now? 6-2?
Scientology's strategy of attacking the attacker by filing lawsuits and launching PR campaigns against the critics proved too tempting for South Park to resist. The episode is famous for recounting the Xenu story, a secretive Scientologist teaching with the on-screen disclaimer, "This is what Scientologists actually believe." It's certainly an out-there creation/origin story, but then again, most religious texts include at least some physics-defying miracles. See? We're balanced. Please don't sue us.
We are gonna sue you! Yeah, you think you can say our religion is a lie? We'll sue you, buddy!
But how is this still hilariously relevant, I hear you ask? Well, the Church of Scientology is still making headlines, still active, and still accused of bribery and other criminal activity today. Hilarious. The episode ends with a monologue from Stan challenging the Scientologists to take legal action against him, which we can pretty safely read as a direct taunt from Matt Stone and Trey Parker themselves.
Well, go on then, sue me!
We're going to!
Number 9. Stan versus Holistic Treatment, Alternative Medicine. When Kyle suffers complete kidney failure and needs a donor, Sharon recommends the Broflovskis seek an alternative approach to treatment.
But all your son needs is a toxin-flushing diet of lemon juice and cayenne pepper.
Wow, that's amazing misinformation.
Sheila is quickly convinced by healer Misinformation's unconventional techniques and assurances that Kyle's condition is improving. The situation eventually resolves itself, much to Cartman's dismay.
I am so pissed off!
But not before the whole town is hooked on New Age treatment. The titular Cherokee hair tampons mark the crescendo of insanity and gross-out factor.
They're like tampons made with all natural hair from the Cherokee people.
But the episode's most successful satire comes when Misinformation points out the conflict of interests in America's for-profit health sector, right before running up the till.
Holistic medicine is about nature. $233.
It's a perfect shot, targeting and striking both sides of the argument simultaneously. More of that on the way. Number 8. The Cartoon Wars. Comedy. This one's juicy. South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone make no secret of their dislike for Family Guy. Once again, they use a character as a surrogate for their own voice. In this case, it's Cartman laying into Family Guy's irrelevant, random humor.
When I make jokes, they are inherent to a story. Deep, situational, and emotional jokes based on what is relevant and has a point.
Putting censorship and the Prophet Muhammad aside for now, this cultural battle really tackles the difference in comedy approach between some of the most successful cartoons. Comedy is as much a battlefield today as it ever was. People disagree about what you can joke about, how you can joke about it, and especially who can tell the jokes.
I can't believe I let you scare me into taking your side. You used fear to make me stop believing in free speech.
Really though, this is all about South Park taking a big swing at a show which skyrocketed past theirs in ratings despite having a style that Parker and Stone don't respect. The pair claim that the Simpsons writers sent them flowers and King of the Hill staff called to congratulate them for doing God's work after Cartoon Wars aired. But is Family Guy really that bad? Number 7. The girls versus boys sled race. Diversity. While representation by numbers is exactly the kind of policy you'd expect South Park to stand against, the show's extended cast of characters is superbly diverse. What South Park manages to achieve, however, is some meaningful level of interaction with and discussion of issues around the demographics involved. When Cartman responds to Token Black's fat-shaming comments by throwing a rock,
You call me fat one more time, I'm gonna smack you in the head with this rock, fat ass. Oh!
it isn't long before the FBI get involved to arrest and imprison him on the grounds that it constituted a hate crime. Although Cartman is no stranger to controversy, this particular incident ironically had no racial motivation whatsoever, which is surprising for Cartman. Cartman's fat ass eventually makes it to the sled race, securing a win for the boys.
We did it! Aww.
But the episode's real message is about the potentially reductive impact of hate crime laws, separating people into groups instead of treating them as individuals. Despite including depictions of just about every offense imaginable, South Park has actually garnered praise over the years from groups such as the NAACP, as well as Jewish and disabled commentators at times. Never from the Mormons, though. Number 6. Food versus the digestive system, militant progressivism, and the Catholic Church. Cartman wins a bet when he takes a big right out of his mouth. There are times when the South Park universe of toilet humor and politics finds a perfect union. When liberal atheists all start sticking food up their butts and excreting out of their mouths, it feels like one of those times.
And we can't let the religious right corrupt our kids.
Red Hot Catholic Love is an episode that pushes so many buttons on our list. If anything, the reverse digestion subplot is relatively minor compared to Father Maxie's crusade against child abuse at the heart of the Catholic Church.
We are here to bring the light of God, not harm the innocent.
Pope Francis continues to wrestle with major accusations of abuse and cover-ups in Catholicism, but whatever your beliefs, the deep-rooted issues in the church don't automatically negate the good it does, and the positive role it occupies in people's lives. Number 5. Kanye West versus fish sticks. Celebrity. When you put on South Park goggles and look for elements of modern society to ridicule, what could be more obvious than the self-conflicting, scandalous mayhem of celebrity culture? Celebrities take opposing positions in our minds, part hero, part jester. Even when we applaud them, the underlying truth is that we'd have just as much fun watching them fall from grace and throwing them to the lions. In glory or in disgrace, we're only interested as long as they're entertaining us. It's the point when a celebrity becomes so megalomaniacal that they can't take criticism anymore that South Park tends to wade in.
In fact, the only person who appears to not get the joke is rapper Kanye West, who becomes furious when people use the joke on him.
His failure to understand the simple, inane joke fits perfectly as a lampoon of his self-declared genius, creating one of the show's most memorable memes.
Something about fish sticks interacting with me makes me gay fish.
In 2019, with all our beloved celebrities having crumbled to dust, we still don't know how to feel about them, and it's especially complicated now that we elected one as president. Props to Yeezy for actually taking the ribbing really well, holding up his hands and putting out a relatable human response. Number 4. America versus Canada. Censorship. If there's something that South Park actually takes a hard stance on, and there might be just one thing, it's censorship. As soon as you're supposedly not allowed to go near something, South Park's writers typically lunge straight towards it. When controversy ignited in Europe over depictions of Muhammad in a Danish newspaper,
So, Stanley, Muhammad is sacred to the Muslim people. Ever since those cartoons in Denmark, the rules have changed. Nobody shows an image of Muhammad anymore.
once again, South Park was drawn into the fight like a moth to a flame. From South Park's perspective, nobody has the right to draw lines in the sand when it comes to satire. And most importantly, it's their consistency on this point that allows them to make bold strides into controversial topics without being seen as prejudiced. It's worth pointing out that the majority of Muslims do not feel that death threats are an appropriate response to portrayals of their holy prophet. But what does this have to do with America versus Canada? Oh yeah, they also made a whole movie about censorship that focused on a war between the Americans and Canadians, and it's hilarious. Number 3. Mr. Garrison versus the border wall, immigration. When we're talking about relevance, it's hard to find a topic that resonates more strongly today than immigration. The president's rallying cry of "build a wall" meets with perfect irony when Trump surrogate Mr. Garrison's mob find that Canada has already built one to keep out the dangerous American racists. Whatever you may think of the Trump presidency, the elements of showboating, inflated ego, and celebrity seem like the perfect fuel for some South Park satire. But the reality is Parker and Stone claim they can hardly keep up.
But Mr. President,
And tell the Prime Minister of China that he can suck my.
In fact, many people feel that South Park republicanism, a term used to describe the broadly anti-establishment, anti-PC views espoused by the show, is what helped give rise to the Trump's presidency and a spike in right-wing, populist, and in some cases alt-right viewpoints, while others say it's a fearless comedic beacon in a sea of politically correct darkness that our culture has become. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments section. I bet it will be really civil. Number 2. Mark Zuckerberg versus the children of South Park, social media. Is social media an amazing way to connect the world or a disgusting invasion of our privacy for corporate gain? Probably both.
just start writing horrible things about people and presenting it as reality on Facebook.
2018 was a terrible year for our boy and possible alien Mark Zuckerberg, who, despite being accused of successfully manipulating the image of every politician on the planet in order to swing election results, failed to do anything but drag his own name through the mud. The episode Franchise Prequel shows an insane version of Mark Zuckerberg who can only speak in cheesy kung fu movie style phrases, which he uses to block criticism of himself on Facebook.
Now I see you're trying to use your style over mine. Now you try to block me.
The episode is hilarious, Token in full Tupperware armor is adorable, and of course we'd love to see the boys' Netflix spin-off. But we still have no clue what to do about social media. What a mess.
Ha 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 ha, you are no match for my style.
Number 1. PC Principal versus Cartman, political correctness. To South Park, political correctness is just censorship with extra steps. In fact, if anything, it's worse because it also includes the kind of moral posturing Parker and Stone most loathe.
Caitlyn Jenner? She's a hero. She is stunning and brave.
When PC Principal comes in to clean up South Park Elementary and enforce a new progressive regime, it isn't long before the boys are sick of his strict rules and want him gone.
A white man who thinks he's Chinese and built a wall to keep out Mongolians.
Ooh, I hate the Mongolians.
Their first port of call is to weaponize Cartman, who attempts to blackmail PC Principal with Butter's underwear. It falls to pieces when Cartman uses the phrase capiche, triggering the new principal to challenge him for reinforcing Italian stereotypes associated with mafia-style intimidation tactics.
Capiche? You're associating Italian Americans to intimidation tactics?
What follows is a ruthless, one-sided beating. Again, we see South Park, normally an offender to all sides, shine a bright light on what they see as the aggressive tactics used by supporters of political correctness. The attack leaves Cartman scared and defeated. As a bully, perhaps he got exactly what he deserved, but at the end of the day, how is PC Principal any different? South Park pretty much took a stand on PC culture right from the offset, but the introduction of PC Principal and his continued role on the show allow the writers to run a commentary on the ever-changing, highly polarizing politics of words.
You know, if there's one thing I really respect, it's plus-size models who challenge the idea of what makes a woman beautiful. These ladies are going to be part of a big ad campaign for plus-size lingerie, and we want to make sure they're protected from any harassing comments.
But what do you think? South Park has been around for 2 decades, and the show has taken brilliant and brutal shots at all sides of just about every cultural war. Which cultural battle resonated the most with you? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, but most importantly, stay wicked.